Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of From a Mother to Another. And I am Sandy Banerjee, and this is where you get to hear from moms around the world. Today, I have two awesome moms joining me here. Please welcome Veena and Samhita to today's show. Hi, ladies.
Hi.
Hey.
How are you guys doing?
Great. How are you?
Great, great. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. I
Yeah,
really
sure. No
appreciate the time you take out to be in this show.
Thank you for having us.
Sure,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's a
Uh,
pleasure.
so let's start with a round of introduction. Veena, do you want to
Yeah,
start?
sure. So my name is Veena, and I came to US around 9 years back, and we've lived in the East Coast, and because of our jobs, we had to move to California around 2013. Yeah, 2013. So I've been in California since then, and I work as a Java developer, basically in IT as a developer. So, and I have two kids. They're twins. They're 4 years old, almost 4 years old. Like they'll turn four in April. So yeah, it's almost there. So that's it. Yeah.
Awesome. How about you, Samhita?
So, hi guys. As you know, I'm Samhita. Well, I actually hail from India, as you can say. I came to United States about 16 years ago with all my dreams, and then worked through all the hurdles. And it's been like 16 years in the DC metropolitan area. I work in an IT company as a support and QA manager, and I have two very energetic, active boys, 11 and 4. It's great to be their mom, and I'm super excited to be here today to talk some of my experience with my kids. So thank you for having
Absolutely.
me.
Sure, absolutely. That's great. That's great. So both of you are preemie moms, right?
Yeah.
Is it okay if
Yeah,
I call you preemie moms? Yes. Okay.
absolutely.
And we have so many moms who who deliver preemies or are in a situation that they could deliver preemies, and they have like a lot of questions. They want to understand experiences from different moms. So tell me about your experience with your preemie, Samhita.
Yeah, sure. And today, after been through all the hardships, I take pride in being a preemie mom, and I do feel preemie kids kind of are born fighters, because I've seen one growing that way. Uh, there's a lot of hardship to begin with, and what is the hardest part is you're not prepared for it. It just comes to
Right.
you, and you have to. I was not knowledgeable. I didn't have any information about having a
Mhm.
preemie child, and then I suddenly delivered one. A lot of sincere thanks to the NICU nurses. I think they were like angels coming down from the sky right there. The way they walk you through each and every step, and the way they navigate you through the entire process,
Mhm.
entire duration you're there, that's huge. Like, I didn't even know how to hold my 2.5 pound baby. He was a 29 weeker, and I all I had was tears rolling down my eyes just because
Right.
I was overwhelmed with all of it,
Mhm.
and we didn't know what to do, but I could stay calm because the nurses walked me through. They're even better than the doctors, I feel, because nurses are the NICU nurses are the folks who are in the with the baby, monitoring them 24/7, and they
Mhm.
told me about the milestones the baby has to reach before he can come out of the NICU. I understood those, and how do you hold the baby. They kind of told me you do skin to skin, that gives them warmth, that
Right.
helps the baby grow, and how my son was a 29 weeker, so at that gestation age, you don't even know how to latch. So they
Mhm.
had to wait until he was like 33 weeks, and then they started help him
Oh
take
wow.
milk from the bottle. So all that was a huge, huge change in my life. And then preparing me for, times when I was ready to bring him home. He was a
Mhm.
4 pounder when we brought him home. And what we should be doing for the next 1 year is it was, I mean, they told me all of that, and I think that came very, very handy. I even had to fortify my breast milk because it was important for him to get more calories
Mhm.
than what
Sure.
a breast milk could provide, so he could grow and get the nourishment.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I would say, like you listen to your nurses, listen to your
Right.
doctors. I tried Googling up and got totally overwhelmed, and
Absolutely.
it made me so negative that I stopped Googling and I started
Sure.
believing these real people who were around me. So
Right.
that's been my experience. But today, by God's grace and touch wood, I have a healthy 4-year-old, and he's reached all his milestones and he's doing well.
Awesome. 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 How about you, Veena? Can you share your
So,
experience with your preemie?
yeah, my story is a bit different because I had twins. I was carrying twins. So, uh, I mean, according to us, they are preemies, but 34 weeks is considered full term for twins.
Sure.
So, exactly when I completed 34 weeks, I went into labor. I had heavy bleeding, and I was rushed into the ER, and then it was determined that I'm already getting labor pains,
Sure.
and it was already very critical. Like my boy, like I have twins, boy and girl, so the boy's heart rate was decelerating,
Oh, wow.
and they had to do emergency C-section. So it was kind of a very foggy memory of what is happening. Nothing
I
was
bet.
even vague because people are rushing. My husband is tense. Like we were all in a very different world at that time, because the
Absolutely.
only thing we knew is the kids have to be safe, safely brought into this world.
Sure.
So apart from that, like when I delivered them, it was kind of very hard for me because I couldn't even hold them in my hand, after I delivered them. So they were directly taken to the NICU, and it took me actually 2 days to get discharged, and then I had to go to the NICU and see them. That's the first time I held them in my hands. So it was very painful, I would say, because of course I could see them in the webcam in the NICU, right? So
Right.
every time I see them, I'll have tears rolling down my eyes, thinking,
Oh.
oh, they should be with me at that time, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it was. I mean, I can't explain it like
Right.
clearly, but it was very painful. And the time I met them, it was very special. Like first time holding them, and uh,
Sure.
though they were 34 weeks, they were like pretty good weight. My daughter, she was 5 pounds, and the son was 6 pounds. So except certain issues, like my son had vitamin D deficiency, so
Mm-hmm.
he had to stay for like 5 days in the NICU. And
Okay.
my daughter, she had feeding issues, but still she could actually come within 3 days. She spent
Okay.
3 days in the NICU, and she could come home within that time. So apart from that, the struggle of having a pre-ME is like the milk supply, pumping.
Yeah.
Needing
Yeah.
them, I couldn't produce enough for them,
Yeah.
so it was a struggle, every time pumping, and I used to get stressed, like I'm not producing enough milk for them. So
Sure.
I used to be in a very stressful state, and finally,
Absolutely.
my mom is the one who said, you need to relax, and don't think of pumping. Produce or pump as much as you can, and make sure you take enough rest and spend
Take
as
care
much
of your
time
health.
with the kids. So that's when I stopped. Like I think I did that for 3 to 4 months, and it became very stressful for me.
Sure. Absolutely.
So obviously, like whatever works for you, give them formula if that works for you. If
Right.
you don't produce enough, just give enough milk, like
Mm-hmm.
whatever you can, you do, for the babies, because they have to be well fed and healthy. So whatever works for them, do that.
Right.
So I mean, my story is like that, because.
Sure.
34 weeks, and luckily they didn't spend much time in the NICU, so we are very grateful to God for that, because it was a struggle. Like it was a lot of hard work gone into carrying them and making sure we at least reached till 34 weeks, right?
Right.
So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it seems like a very tense moment, right? When you're
Yeah.
in the hospital and everything
Yeah.
overwhelming, and
Mm-hmm.
you don't know what to do, and it's a
Mm-hmm.
stress moment. But
Mm-hmm.
is there anything that really worked during that time? Something that helped you to get through that period in the hospital. Is there something you guys want to point out, Veena?
Uh,
Yeah,
sure.
Samhita.
Sure.
I wanted, this was, as she explained, I'm getting goosebumps because it's bringing back memories for me. And
Memories.
my child was in the NICU for a month. So they discharged me in 3 days. And then I was not even allowed to drive, right? Because I was on pain medication and I had
Sure.
a C-section.
Yeah, yeah.
So my doctor's like, you're not allowed to drive. I'm like, there's no way somebody can take me 4 times a day to the
Right.
hospital. I need to
Yeah.
drive. And she allowed me only strictly saying that do not take any medication before you drive. And
Right.
I started going right the, next week to be with the baby. So that they're really tough moments. And now that we talk about it, it's bringing back all those memories. But one thing which really helped me at that situation is listening to your inner self, and firmly believing in that everything will, it is just a phase, and things will improve, and situation will change. And I kept telling that to myself. It was hard to believe because I didn't see that happening so soon, and I didn't know how long would it take. But I kept telling, it's like internal praying. I started doing some meditation as well, just to keep myself centered. And otherwise I thought I would not be able to sail along in this whole situation. And I also feel a mother gets all the strength somehow. I don't know where it comes from.
Yeah.
You just get
Absolutely.
it
I agree.
to sail through it. And today, if you ask me, I don't even know how I did some of it. So I strongly believe that, the mother nature gives that to every mother who's bringing in a child to this
Yeah,
world. So
exactly.
you'll have it when you need
Right.
it.
Yeah.
And if you start believing in that, things will start happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Veena, do you want to add something to
For
that?
me, I would say, the positivity around me, like especially my husband, he's always very positive. Like
Yeah.
even if something goes wrong, he would say, no, no, it's fine, it will be fine. So my trust is always based on him. Like if he's fine, I'm fine. So
Right.
as long as he's positive, I'm positive. So he was always positive throughout the pregnancy. Even when we went into the emergency care, he was quite positive. Okay, if this is the time, let it be. Everything will be fine. So I think he, and of course my parents, obviously they're tense, right? Their daughter is going into
Right.
labor, and all of a sudden, but I think they were the most eminent support in that,
Yeah.
because without my mother, I don't think I would have survived that time of having two kids all of a sudden, and taking care of them, where I've never had experience of, right? So
Sure.
it was a
Absolutely.
tremendous support. My husband, my dad actually stayed for a few days, but he had to go back. But he was also a great support. I think that's it. My family basically. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's surprising that at that moment of stress, you get that, positive thing,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
what you need, right? And you
Totally.
guys had those people supporting you at that
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so amazing. So after you guys came home, what kind of, I know, as you said, like the NICU nurses and everybody was so helpful,
Yeah.
right? What kind of advices did they give you, and how did you execute that? Was it feasible? Because when there's new baby, people want to come over,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
so yep. Veena.
Yeah. So what we were told is, like, obviously they are too tender and delicate, because they're too tiny compared to the full-term babies, right? So,
Right.
uh, especially my daughter, she was 5 pounds and she was too delicate. We were always scared to even hold her, because she's so
Sure.
tiny and we don't want to hurt her, or, even do any,
Right.
other kind of this. So, especially taking care of her and feeding her was basically an issue. So in the NICU also, like, she couldn't be fed properly. Like, they had to use feeding tube
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
and all that. So feeding her, they told us, like, but before she left NICU, she transitioned to the bottle. So it was
Okay.
kind of helpful for us.
Right.
And also, they made sure that, even if I don't produce enough, feed them formula, and
Mm-hmm.
make sure we feed them every 2 hours, and, they have to be back, or at least gain some weight, right? Certain
Great.
period of time before we meet the doctor, pediatrician. So that was one thing. And also, making sure when we don't give them bath like in India, like old Indian days, right? So like old people used to tell, so make sure you just wipe them down, clean.
Okay.
Don't,
Oh.
do much of, like the regular bathing style. So
Okay.
that was one. And also, taking care, like sterilizing the bottles, all that, no infections should be passed down, all
Mm-hmm.
that thing was told to us. And we, of course, we maintained that. And
Mm-hmm.
since my mother was there, she already took care of the, bottles and other stuff. So I think basically that was it. And also, since my son was vitamin D deficient, right, we had to give him vitamin D drops, and of course take care of him in a more careful way, because never forget his medicine. Like, these times you have
Sure.
to give the
Yeah.
medicine, and of course follow up with the doctor, because uh, see, for a newborn baby, we wouldn't like to give a medicine, continuously, right? So we
Sure.
also want to
Absolutely.
make sure
Yeah.
we don't do that continuously. So following up with the doctors, I mean, that's it from me. Yeah, for me, that was the main things.
Okay. How about you, Samhita?
So for me, my situation was a little different. As I said,
Mm-hmm.
he was
Mm-hmm.
really tiny, and when he came home, so they used to call him a star performer in the NICU. They used to joke because he was ready to come home at 34 weeks, which is still like 6 weeks before the due date, and he was
Mm-hmm.
only 4 pounds. So one thing that I was told time and again is nobody should be allowed at home to visit the baby until he meets his actual due date. So I
Oh.
had to keep him away from social, people coming him to
Mm-hmm.
visit, etc., for good 6 to 7 weeks. So I know people really wanted to come see us, see me, see the baby, but it was a very
Sure.
tough situation. We had to tell
Yeah.
people no, but people are understanding. They understand,
Absolutely.
and they were like, yes, we'll come when you want us to come. And soon after, like 8 week, like when we finished 2 months at home, we started having people come over. I also had a kindergartner at that time at home. So
Wow, that must be hard.
Yeah.
we made sure he was not bringing in any germs
Ah,
from school. So as soon
right.
as it was very hard for him too. So as soon as we walked him home, he had to take shower. Even in the
Mm-hmm.
winter days, I still remember he did it very reluctantly, but he knew that it was for his brother and he would do
Right.
it. He was so understanding at that point of time that he would not bring friends over because we couldn't control that situation
Right.
so well if friends would bring in germs. So he had to literally distance from friends at that point of time for a few months. So that was something we followed very very religiously for good some time. We didn't take him outside in social places for good 6 months. I
Yeah.
remember his first trip outside, other than doctor's visit, was like after he turned 6 months. And then what else? We would not go to a crowded place, stuff like that. We also, as Veena mentioned, took very good care on all his bottles and stuff like that. I had to make sure he's fed every 2 hours, and I
Mm-hmm.
had to fortify my milk because they wanted to give him specific calories,
No.
not just breast milk. So it was extremely hard, like pump every 2 hours, and then I had to put formula, and they gave me an ingredient. I had to follow that and make a whole
Oh.
recipe, and then feed the baby. I tried latching after I was very strictly told that do not have him breastfeed directly until he's 6 months because he needs to gain that weight for which you have to put in formula in your breast milk, which I did. And it was a very hard time. And after 6 months, he got so used to the convenience of bottle, he wouldn't latch anymore. So I
Right.
continued
Yeah.
to, bottle feed for the rest of the 6 months that I breastfed him. These are a few things. Then there were a couple of things. Since he was so young, they say that the eyes grow all the way up to 40 weeks. So
Oh.
if he did, yeah. So there is a condition that such younger preemies could develop that is called, I forget the name. It's ROP, I think retinopathy of prematurity, something like that. You
Okay.
can. So we had to take him to the eye doctor every week
Okay.
until he was 40 weeks to make sure that his eyes were actually growing like how a normal eye should grow.
Okay.
And that was very, very painful because, they would actually see at the back of his eyes, just like how
Oh.
a ophthalmologist would do. And I couldn't deal with that. It was so
Oh.
bad.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
they would say only one parent who's very strong should be inside, and then my husband would hold him, and they would look at the back of his eye, and I would just sit outside because I really couldn't even handle that. So that was tough. We did it for 40 weeks, and then thankfully, they could even. I don't want to scare any parent out here, but it's good to know that these are things that which are like
Sure.
you have to
Absolutely.
get checked.
Yeah.
And then at 40 weeks, we got a clearance that his eyes have developed fully and good to go, and then come back in a year's time. So we did that. We did 1 year of vitamin D drops religiously because he needed that. And then we also, what else did we do? Sanitizing toys, sanitizing
Mm-hmm.
hands, not giving him bath every day. He also had eczema kind of stuff building up
Okay.
if
Okay.
we would bathe him every now and then. So we did some, oatmeal. You could do something like oatmeal bath once in a while, like every couple of days. We did that and used Cetaphil for his body. That's pretty much what we did. We took very good care of his eating schedule, that he's fed round the clock every 2 hours. And then
Sure.
I think at 6 months benchmark, we started having more people. We started normalizing our life a little bit
Sure.
more, having, started building more social interaction
Mm-hmm.
because, we're social beings. We started having people over. We started doing more frequent outings and giving him solid foods. And we even took him to India when he was 8 months. And then once he came back from India, I kind of feel that we got into a regular baby schedule for him.
Schedule.
And we
Okay.
started feeling more normal because he
Right.
started crawling and all of that started happening.
Right. Okay. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. So since you guys talked about all these experiences and all these things you have done, and some moms, when they have preemie babies, and because the knowledge is limited, obviously they are learning. When you are a new mom, you are learning in the process, right? Is there any kind of challenges that you face because they were preemie, just specifically because they were preemie when they grew up? Because I know, Samhita, your younger one is 4, right?
Yeah, he's 4 now.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, so I'll tell you something, doctors kind of told me like he's not going to be reaching his milestones, which a regular child will reach. That itself scares you a lot when you hear
absolutely.
that,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, what does this mean? Is he going to be like, falling off his charts? Is he not going to be a normal child? All those
Right.
questions starts. I'm
Right.
like, I kept asking, what does that mean? Then they explained to me is like, they always correct their age. Like, for example, he was 2 months or like 2 months, like 11 weeks early. So they corrected that age. So when he would be like 2 months, 2 years and 3 months, that'll be his 2 years actually. And they
Okay.
keep correcting it till they turn 2. And they kept correcting for my son even further. So he was like, he may not reach his milestones, what a 2-year-old should reach when he's actually 2. So you have to give him that time. And I understood that. It's quite frustrating. And especially, as a second time mom, and my husband too, we both were like, you don't want to kind of question that, but as a parent you do get
Mm-hmm.
anxious when your child is not speaking enough. And we would compare and see our 2-year-old, like our
Right.
first kid used to talk a lot. He would speak, he would say rhymes by the time he was 2, and this kid is just like babbling or talking just one
Right.
word. So
You
that
get scared, right?
I
Yeah.
was super scared, and I think I got over, tensed about it. I took him to like the county of, what you say, for a check as well, just to make sure that he's doing all right. And they told me the same thing. You have to give him time. As
Sure.
long as you're seeing all the normal things happening, that you don't find anything abnormal, there will be a slight delay. But that doesn't mean they're just taking time to catch up because
Right.
they're just younger. And
Mm-hmm.
now he started speaking a little late, I would say. By the time he was 3, he started saying sentences, not
Sure.
before that, which was
Okay.
not the case with my first one. So that was something which I thought, oh, and when they don't speak, it becomes a big deal because you start questioning, is he
Sure. Absolutely.
autistic, what's going on? But
Yeah.
everything looked fine socially to him. He used to have social smiles, laughters, all of that, just that he couldn't frame sentences. So that was something I thought I should share here. But nothing to worry as such. He came along just fine, and today he's a chatterbox. He wouldn't stop talking. So
Good.
that was a challenge that I faced. And what else did I face? This was one very big thing that I faced, was what I can remember of. I'm sure Veena would have her story to share.
Yeah. So, Veena, yours are also 4-year-old, right? So, any
Yeah, actually,
challenges you
for
want to
me,
share?
I don't know whether it's a pre-ME challenge or something, but since it was two at a time, right? So for me, the one-on-one attention or one-on-one time
Yeah.
with each of them was very tough to get,
Uh,
initially, because the 2 hour feeding schedule and pumping schedule,
right.
everything was going on like crazy. So
I can
I think
imagine.
the first year is a blur for me, like it just passed so soon. Maybe first 6 months, I would say.
Yeah.
But then, as I said, I stopped pumping and I started spending more time with them, right? So then I would say I got some one-on-one time, but still, the challenges are still there, because if I want to spend some time with one kid, it's very hard because the other one would just come running to me, and it just happens. But I guess the challenge with them, it has been again, as Samhita mentioned, right? Like you always compare them with the full-term babies or full-term kids, and if one doesn't speak, and here I have two, so if one starts speaking first and the other one doesn't, then I'm like,
Yeah.
concerned about the
What's
other
going
one.
on? Yeah, is anything wrong?
My son was like that. He, although he is speaking now, in between there was some like problem, like he's not speaking as much as my daughter. So why
Hmm.
is that? Is there any issue? But it just happens at one moment he just starts speaking and now he doesn't stop. So
Right.
it's I think it's just the social life. Like when we talk to others, when they say, oh, like this is delayed, even the teachers would say that he doesn't speak as much, maybe you
Right.
should have more play dates and this. But I'm like, he's fine, I mean, it's fine, it doesn't matter, he might take his own time, right? So I think he's proved it. Like now he doesn't stop and he plays with everyone. So I think when we start comparing them to others, that's when
Yeah.
we get tensed and we get worried. So
Yeah.
I would say, like, give them the time.
Yeah.
They'll obviously come there, reach that point where they talk and
Sure.
walk
Yeah.
and crawl,
Yeah.
because for me also, my daughter started walking first, and my son actually started around 13 months, after he completed 1 year. So she was already walking by 10, 11 months, I think. Yeah. So there was that comparison
Yeah.
also.
So you were
So
worried for some time, like what's
yeah.
going
So
on,
I
kind of
mean,
thing.
though it, it will be inside my mind, I don't tell it aloud, like, oh, okay,
Sure.
why is he not walking,
Mm.
but finally it happened. So I mean, that's what I would say to all mothers. Don't ever get tensed or
Yeah.
worried unless, you find, or unless your intuition says so, right?
Yeah.
If you feel he or she is going in the right path, just let
Right.
them be. Yeah,
Yeah.
take your own time. Let them take their own time.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So we'll switch a gear here, and let's talk about Veena, you being a twin mom, right? I
Mm-hmm.
can't imagine like one newborn, right? It's a lot of
No,
work. So twice that effort.
yeah,
Let's talk about that. As you said, your first year was a blur, right?
yeah. I know. I mean, I always like when I meet my relatives' kids, like they have one kid, and maybe they just completed 1 year, and I'll be like, oh wow, it's just one kid running around. So you have that one-on-one time, right? So for me, I'm not saying I didn't get the time, but still, compared to how much time you spend with a kid alone, is comparatively less. When you have twins, because you have
Sure.
to make sure both are properly attended to, and both are fed properly, both gets their attention. Like, okay, maybe they have some crankiness, we have to deal with them. And in my case, it's like if one starts crying, maybe the other one will start crying during that first year, right? So we had to make sure we feed them, and there have been days in the night when my husband and I woke up and we'll be like, did we feed them? Though we fed them, we forgot. Like we are in that
Right. You were
sleep
sleep
deprivation
deprived.
mode,
You don't
right?
know what you did.
Yeah. So I mean, it's pretty hard. Even now, it is hard, because but I can say as time passes, it gets easier, because when I compare
I'm
it
a
to
pro.
last year, right? See, I get them ready, I give them breakfast and drop them to the daycare and go to office, right? So I can see that comparison now, like it is getting easier because the delay is much lesser. They listen to
Mm.
me a little better, and my kids are, improving, right? Like
Right.
getting better by age. The crankiness and everything gets better. Hopefully, it gets better. Because for me, it is getting better, and I think it's always a challenge with twins. I wouldn't say it is easier because, see, when I was working, like they were 1.5 years old, and I joined my new work. So uh, I used to be very busy. Like I'll be busy at work so that I finish my work and come back home and spend some time with the kids, right? So my amount of socializing, or the time of socializing, was very less in the office. Okay, because
Hmm.
I'm always in a rush to finish my work and get back
Right.
home. So people used to be like, "Oh, is it because you have twins and you have more work?" I'm like, "Yeah. I mean, I just want to spend time with my kids at home.
Sure.
Okay, so
Yeah.
like I don't want to take the work back home." So it's very hard for people to understand.
Mm.
Like, I'm not saying it's just because of the twins. Even if it is one kid, you would like to spend time with the kid, right?
Right.
So
Right.
it's just that. And even now, I make sure I come home, I spend some time with them, and then once they're asleep, I can do my work, whatever it
Right.
is.
Right.
So yeah.
Right. Right. Awesome. Awesome. So, Samhita, let's talk about you being a soccer mom. So, your older one is in a traveling soccer team.
Yeah.
So, how do you? What is the schedule like? How exciting it is? I'm sure it's like
It
super
is very
exciting.
exciting and it's quite challenging too
I can imagine.
in the way that we have to spend our time. So as he started growing and showed interest in travel and he started trying out and made it to a travel team, we realized that the weekends have to be like totally dedicated for his soccer games. So he has practice twice a week, and then now things have slowed down because of the current situation. But
Sure.
otherwise, like 3 times in a week goes for soccer practices, and then he has games every weekend, and
Mm.
then almost every month there will be a tournament where you have to drive pretty far, like about 100 mile, and take him somewhere. So I realized something, over time, and I'm getting better. I think with more experience is. I need to plan my weekend ahead of time,
Mm.
so that we are not rushing through when he's getting ready for an early morning game. Making sure his gears are ready, so he's not
Sure.
like scrambling through in terms of getting his clothes, his jerseys washed, and whatnot. So we've tried to kind of build that in him as well. That hey, as soon as you come back, you've got to drop it in the laundry basket so that it gets washed and is ready for the next game. Prepare, and we earlier, they have back to back games many a times. Like you play a game, then there's 2 hours break, and then there's another game, and you're
Mhm.
far away from home. So what you do, earlier I was like, hey, we can pick lunch from somewhere. Then I realized that it's very important for us to give him nutrition and give him some healthy food. So I started doing more food prep before he goes for games now, so he can have more protein rich food. So, and for us too as a family. So I've started working around that, so we are well prepped for the entire day when we go out.
Nice.
And of course, when you're out with your child all day long, it's become we've had change in our lifestyle, I would say. So that's become our way of living, that whole family goes and watches him
Mm-hmm.
play. We cheer him up, and that he loves it because he wants both mom and dad to be around.
Sure.
So it's a huge encouragement for him. He always asks, "Who's coming with me? Are you both coming?" That really excites him. And even if his brother comes, that makes him super happy. So we always keep our trunk ready with the umbrella, with the chairs, so we could just pull it out, go sit, carry. I've done better in terms of grocery shopping and prepping for all the lunch and the snacks for both the
Mhm.
kids when we're out. Also, not keeping stuff for the weekend, like laundry. Like earlier, I would be like, hey, Saturday would be my laundry day. So I try to use my days when I work from home more efficiently, that I finish quickly, and if I save my travel time that day,
Mm.
then I can spend that time doing some laundry and some kind of prep, so that my weekend is not super rushed. And I make sure I do grocery before Friday, so we are ready for the weekend and it's
Mhm.
not super crazy. So, and also we have to be a chauffeur because we have to driving around. So
Sure.
Yeah.
keeping ourselves available. Honestly, we've reduced our socializing also quite a bit now, simply
Mhm.
because it's become so busy. It's limited to evenings now. Earlier, we were more available and we would socialize like
Right.
right
With the
from more
kids growing
right.
up, it's difficult.
Yeah, with kids growing up, your priorities change,
Right.
and that's become our way of living. This is the new
Right.
way of doing things. So and we appreciate it. I feel it adds value, and we end up having good family time. When we're driving so long a distance,
Mhm.
we spend time as a family. We prep him up mentally. So we're super involved. Like my husband is more involved than I am in terms of mentally preparing him, but I take all the other stuff, like preparing his food, his clothes, making sure he has what he needs to go and play the game. So it's been very exciting, and we also work towards, he's very passionate about soccer. That's something which comes
Mm.
naturally to him. So always trying to help him go to the next level. So whatever it is, whatever he wants to do, we just try to be there for him, to support him as much as we can. So it's exciting.
Yeah, I bet it is. And since we're talking about, extracurricular activities, and this is one of the questions I think I ask most of the moms, how do you balance work life? And the reason I asked all moms is because, each mom or each family has a different way of dealing with things,
Right.
right? So I think the more you guys share your experiences, it would be useful for other moms to
Yeah.
see what works for them, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not one size fits all, really, but yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, every family is different. The chemistry between the spouses are so different. So
Right.
I'll be very candid. What works for me is my husband's support. Without him, I don't think we can be such functional as we are today, or we were before we started being locked out at home. We were always on the move, and only way we could do this because we were like in partnership, doing it like divide and conquer is what we believe in. So we pretty much know what his stuff is and what my stuff is. So we know it, and we would always catch up. Like, it's very busy, life is busy, so we won't get time to simply catch up over tea and coffee many a times. But what I always do is like catch up with my husband while I would drive back from home, and he would
Mm-hmm.
be driving back at the same time just before we pick the kids. So we would talk about, hey, he has soccer at so and so. Then my husband is like, hey, I can go pick him up and then feed him this and drop him, and then I
Right.
go pick the younger one. So constant communication with my husband is what
Mm-hmm.
has worked for me, and we divide and conquer. I know I cannot be a super mom just by trying to accomplish everything by myself. That's not going to
Sure.
work, and then I will burn out. So we do that, and we also try to, it's not that we always are running around. We try to take a moment and slow down as well whenever possible, and just chill and relax and socialize, so that things are holistic, things don't feel like we are robotic and always working. So we try to do mix of all, and when we absolutely feel that we need a break, we try to take a quick vacation or do stuff
Yeah.
as a family. That works very well for us.
Oh,
uh, so this is how we've been doing it so far, and I think it's working. But yeah, time will tell how long we're able to do this.
yeah. Awesome. Awesome. How about you, Veena?
I would also agree with Samhita. Like, for me, I handle most of the morning stuff, like getting the kids ready, dropping them, because my husband has to leave early. He says his timings are very strict, and he has to reach office by a certain time. So I deal with all the morning stuff, dropping them, and I also take them for the activities, because the activities start at around maybe 5:15, around that time. So that also my husband can't make most of the time. So I pick them up and also take them for the extracurricular activities, and he joins me there if he can, so that we'll come back together and maybe have dinner out or something. Other days, of course, he tries to pick them up, and during weekends, what we do is we meal prep for the week. We do it
Oh,
together.
yeah.
Like,
That works like a charm, isn't
yeah, so
it?
that helps us quite a bit. Otherwise, I don't think I can survive,
I'm there with
without
you.
that, no way. Yeah, so that is one way we handle, and also we at least have a date night in a month, like one date night in a month, where we can send the kids to the school. Their school has a date night, so they can play with the other kids during the evening for the Friday, and we go for the date night. We have fun, and that's our relaxation time
Yeah.
basically. That's the only time we get, so we make use of it the most. We never lose a chance to go for the date night.
Sure.
So that is one thing. And of course, after the kids go to sleep, we try to spend as much as time we can together, either watch some TV or read something, either way. So my way of relaxation is, just sit and read, or, go through the stuff that I like, reading some stuff that I like. Or now I started a habit of reading or listening to audiobooks. So that
Nice.
is one way I do that. And I also get up around 5 in the morning and do my workout, so that I do it peacefully without my kids disturbing me, or
Yeah.
any other responsibility at that time, right? So I just get up immediately, I do my workout, and then I come back and do the other stuff related to packing lunch, getting the kids ready, so that at least morning I feel fresh,
Yeah.
after I don't want to just spend the whole day waiting for my end of the day to do my workout and then say, okay, I did my workout. I just want to finish it up. So I mean, everyone has their own way of doing it, but initially my husband used to help a lot, because at that time the timings were not that strict and he was not that busy. But right now he has to do it in a certain way, so he has to rush and go. And that too, last year it was very hectic for me because I was handling everything alone, right? So there was a month where every weekend I had to handle the kids alone. And uh, one weekend my daughter was sick, then the next weekend my
Oh,
son was sick. So, and then I fell sick the third weekend. So it was like a chain.
right.
Yeah, but I guess it's all part of life,
Yeah.
ultimately it has to work out. Whatever
Yeah,
it is, we have to work each other and work the way through everything, right? Every
absolutely.
hurdle
Yeah.
we should do. So I guess we are fine. We are doing fine, as far as
That is
the
working for you. That's the most important thing,
Yeah.
right?
yeah,
Yeah, that is
exactly.
working for your family. Your thing is also working for your family. So
Yeah,
that's the
yeah.
most important
So,
thing, right? And
and the
that's
most
something that you
important
said,
thing
like
for
it might
me is
not work.
my work schedule is very flexible. My boss
Oh,
is
okay.
very flexible, so that kind of helps me, because if I have to pick up the kids early, I can come, and then again after putting them to bed, I can finish off any work pending or anything. So that way, I have a very flexible work
Yeah.
boss.
That is
So
helpful, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I second
Awesome.
that. Flexible, like I have a very flexible job, and we are able to do so much is because of that.
Right.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Okay.
At least one
Awesome.
person should be available,
Yeah.
to yeah. So,
Okay, great, great. I really enjoyed listening to all your stories and experiences. But before I let you guys go, I want to ask one quick thing. If because it seems like you guys have been through stressed circumstances and stressed environment, and right now what we have now is kind of very stressed for some people too,
Yeah.
right? With the
yeah.
coronavirus
Yeah.
out here. So, if there was one advice you could give moms or parents, how to deal with this kind of stress environment, what
Mhm.
would that be? Samhita?
So, I mean, this is not any something which people have heard and will hear for the next few months, I believe,
Mhm.
is social distancing. That's what we need to do. That's the key. So we try to do that as much as possible, and limit ourselves to going out only it's absolutely needed. So we're following it for the past 2 weeks, and so far it's been good. Trying to keep the kids busy at home, washing hands 20 seconds for sure, making sure the kids are washing hands they have a tendency to go pick up a snack and just start
Mhm.
eating that and stuff like that. So continue, make sure you wash your hands and kind of like constantly imbibe that thing in their minds.
Mm-hmm.
We've been trying to do that. And what else are we doing? Yeah, one thing that I do is I've started doing a lot of online grocery, and
Yeah.
I let the cart sit outside, like the box sit outside for some time, like good
Yeah.
3 4 hours. And thankfully, it's not that warm that things will get spoiled. I let it sit for good some time, and then I literally tell my children and my husband to go up, or if my husband is doing, I take the kids up and keep them away. And then we sanitize the grocery. We open the bag up, we sanitize everything that we touch, like the scissor, and what else do we,
Yeah.
uh, you know, and we start picking each grocery item, sanitize it, and then we bring it inside. And then I've been like super finicky about, like, mopping the floor once we've
Right.
done all of that. And then I take a quick shower. Whoever is doing it takes a quick shower, and then I throw the clothes in the laundry. That's something that I've started to do. I don't know if anything is in there. It just gives me immense satisfaction, and I kind of feel relieved after doing that. So I've
Uh,
been practicing that. I bought like four big uh jars of Dettol, good old days Dettol, and I've started sweeping my floor with that. I don't know if it is proven that it works for coronavirus, or at least not the novel one. It does claim that it takes care of the older coronaviruses, but at least it's a good hygiene practice, and
sure.
I'm doing it. And
Yeah.
these are the few things that I try to do. Not touching my face unless, especially if we go out, we make sure we sanitize the car keys, the what do you say, the steering wheel, the
Mm-hmm.
locks, all of that stuff, anything that we possibly touch, like I have to go and collect my son's worksheet sometimes from one of his classes. We make sure, we do all the bare basic stuff that we need to do. Only one person goes and picks it up, and then we let it sit for good 1 day or so and clean it up, disinfect, and then use it. So that's what I've been doing. And for fruits and veggies, what I generally do is throw it in warm water and let it sit for good some time in the sink in the warm water, because they're like skin, right? So if we wash our hands thoroughly, it goes away. So I'm assuming from fruits and vegetables too, it would be the same thing. So that's what I do, and then I dry them up in a paper towel, and then putting that away. One other thing that I think it could be me, but I felt that we all need to just be conscious about how much we are buying at this moment, so that we don't end up going to the grocery. And plus, with food and etc., just be more diligent in how you use it. So being more cautious about,
Sure.
I've been super careless in the past, and I'm guilty of that. And today in this situation makes me kind of realize that how important it is to save food. So be diligent about how much you're using, and not to waste food and stuff like that. So these are some of the things that we practice at home at the moment.
Okay, awesome. Veena, how about you?
So any advice for people who are going through this situation is, like as she mentioned, social distancing. So we pretty much don't go out, we order everything online, online groceries, and we have stocked up food. And even if we need anything, we just order it online. We don't go out, because I have my parents here right now, and they are in their mid 70s or 80s, so I don't want them to get infected and get any,
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't want any risk in that way, because even kids, if they step out and they get any virus, then my parents can get infected, right? So
Right.
we are very careful in that. And as she said, when groceries come or the boxes come, we wear gloves and we sanitize everything and make sure, make sure everything is wiped clean with the sanitizing wipes, and only then we bring it inside. So that is one thing we do, and always washing the hands. And pretty much it's about staying away, staying at home, so as much as possible. And I think we are 100% at home, and we haven't even seen a face or another person's face in like 2 weeks now. So that is working good for us. And I know, like, immunity wise, I give vitamins and that's it. But the thing is, the immunity thing will work for the virus, right? Unless if you get the virus, it's not going to work. So I mean, stay healthy, eat healthy food is one thing, and even about buying food, as she mentioned, don't buy too much, so that you leave something for the others also, so
right, yeah,
because we can hear so many news about the groceries out of stock, eggs are out of stock. So it's like, leave something for others also.
Right,
and,
absolutely. Don't hoard, right? There are people who need them, right?
Leave the toilet papers, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like and I mean, it's pretty much that, be sensible when you purchase products, and look out for others, allow others also to be safe, and stay safe for yourself also. So that is it.
Okay. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, ladies. I really appreciate the time you took out to be here. Thank you.
Sure, thanks for having me.
Sure. Have a good evening.
You too. And
thank you. Bye-bye.
I enjoyed it thoroughly too. It was very nice knowing both of you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.